Thank you for tuning in. We are here with one of my favorite artists. I describe this man in many ways. He is a creative. He's a musician's musician. He's a drummer, a percussionist. But my favorite way to describe this man is the secret sauce. Help me in welcoming to the podcast, the one, the only, Dan Goode.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
All right, so I just yelled a lot of things at the people,
Yes.
Which I tend to do. A lot of adjectives, but I really want to know how you describe yourself.
Oh, man. How I describe myself, I would simply say I've been working on this. Son of many, born to two, young American, made by a couple of Jamaicans.
Okay.
Just blessed enough to be able to play some music, sing some songs. Yeah, man, that's really it.
Son of many, birthed by two, or
yeah.
born to two. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was C-section. I can't really say I was birthed. My mother, she reminds me of that very often.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting deep early. Dan was, not conceived, birthed by C-section. But tell me a little bit about that, because that's poetic to begin with.
Yeah.
Son of many, born to two.
Right.
Let's break that down.
So I'm a church kid through and through and through and through and through. To give honor to God, it was ahead of my life. Like
Glory.
literally my whole life, church
Yeah.
kid. Like youth leader at my church, praise and worship leader, played drums, all of those things. But my home church is my home church. But I also minister at a lot of other churches in my district, in my area, in a couple different states. A lot of what you may know me for musically is a literal byproduct of the work that I've done at those churches.
Yeah.
My personality, my ways of being, the things that I say, the things that I do, the ways that I think, how I treat people are all it's not just upbringing in the crib, right? Jamaicans, we have this thing, it only takes two to bring forth the son, but it takes a village to raise them.
Yeah.
I am literally born to two people, Ray and Candida. But I'm a son to many because so many individuals have poured into me.
Yeah.
They crack the whip and swing the belt, not just my parents. When things got a little rough on my end, musically speaking, there were people that were pushing me, some pulling me back, but many poured into who you now know as Daniel or Dan Goode, depending on how you know me.
Okay. I know you a little bit as both, which is an honor of mine to know
Appreciate
Daniel, the person, and to know Dan Goode, the artist.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to talk a little bit about both of these people.
Cool.
But I'm really loving this Son of Many, born to two. Talk to me about being born to the two.
Born to the two. So my mother will tell you that, and I do not mean this in like any abusive context. She literally says, Daniel, I almost killed you and you almost killed me. The third pregnancy, I believe gave her a really hard time. Like she was at work. She's a nurse. My mother's a nurse. God bless her. Shout out to all the nurses. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all save lives.
Literally. It was a rough pregnancy because she was working a lot, as nurses do. But there was a point in time where she thought I had died in the womb. She didn't feel me. She didn't feel me breathing. She didn't feel me moving. She had to call her father. Daddy, what's going on? The baby's not moving. It's pregnancy, right? It's literally a medical miracle, no matter how many times or who does it or who has babies. So there's a risk of her also catching some things or also just dying. So we battled back and forth. My sweet, sweet mother, Miss Candida, and my lovely, wonderful mountain of a man, Ravel. They came together. They kind of bungled the first two, my knucklehead siblings, and then they got to me, the favorite. You know what I'm saying? A little spoiled, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a therapist, so we're going to talk about that later. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to talk about it.
Absolutely. But yeah, born to two, man, that's a really important part of my life. I do not throw snark at anyone's relationship because I know what it takes to make it in a relationship and I know what it is to fail in one too.
Yeah.
So I try my best to champion that part of my story. The two people coming together to make the decision to get married and to make sure they do sleep in one bed and they do stay in one house and they do raise these three big-headed knucklehead kids together. Like I said, that's nothing against blended families. I'm a literal result of a blended family, like my father's parents, literally. That's fine too. But that born to two aspect is like, that's part of the reason I work so well with artists when I produce their music. Because I know what it is to be like, yo, we do have this plan, and we will not deviate.
Yeah.
Right. So that's been a major aspect of my background and also my musical journey.
Yeah. So it sounds like when I ask you who you are, you start first with where you came from.
Oh, for sure.
You came from the church, right? Both the actual building, but then the people of the church, and what it is to have people pour into you, and what it is to have people encourage you, to train you up, to correct you, to discipline you.
Yeah.
And then also what it is to have some people who just ain't rocking with you, because unfortunately people are people, right?
People are people.
And then, or maybe not and then in terms of sequence, but another part of who you are is the people who came together to make you.
Yes.
And the family and what that is. And it sounds like that set a tone for you of like, no, there's a plan and we're sticking to this plan. There's a way in which we do things. So it sounds like it's a really solid foundation in which you're standing on at this point.
10 toes.
10 toes. All right.
It works.
So that's Daniel.
That's Daniel.
Okay. Who is Dan Goode?
Dan Goode's father is Balmore.
Who's Balmore?
Who is Balmore? Some ugly.
Don't do that.
4 eyes. Balmore is my incredible brother, who is an incredible father, incredible partner, incredible singer, incredible artist. He's my brother. I may know him as Brandon.
Okay.
Y'all may know him as Balmore.
Yeah.
When I say that he is Dan Goode's father, Dan Goode does not exist in a world where Balmore is not.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So my brother will tell you, like, Balmore is my father's middle name. Ravel Balmore Walker. We're going to have to jump back to this, of course, but back in the day, when I was a minor and they had to, like, sneak me into, like, bars and clubs so we were playing our music, I was just Daniel. And my brother, you know, he had this running joke of like, you know, that boy good, and you know, Dan Goode is a play on words of how he described me. I don't really be cussing, but
he damn good.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I cuss sometimes.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? So and that's all right. So my brother, he was the one that, like, if my parents raised me to be a proper human, my brother was the one I was like, okay, no, we're not doing this. We are doing this. You will be singing at these shows.
Okay.
When we don't have a drummer, you will be playing drums.
Okay. And
also stop being shy, because like my brother will tell me, like, you know, like you're a better singer than he's a better performer for sure, a better artist. I'm stepping back. He'll say, like, you know, you're the better singer. Why are you shy? You're a better singer. Why aren't you releasing music? Like, people want to hear you. There's a clip from The Office where, like, the IT bull comes and, like, fixes the network at the office or whatever, and he's telling Daryl, like, Daryl, people want to be your friend. Like, stop acting like no one wants to be your friend. That was Brandon's version of saying, like, yo, release the music. Yeah. Like, release the Kraken. Like, people want to hear what you're trying to say. Yeah, so that's the genesis of Dan Goode. Like, literally getting snuck. You can probably tell which one is right, but people bringing me into spaces I had no business being in because of my age, and just releasing me to do whatever. Yeah. And leaving grown folk like, who is this person? Yeah. You'll never know, because I'm not coming back here. I'm underage. Okay. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're past the statute of limitations.
Oh, for sure.
So mom and dad created Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be slightly prophetic. God put the gift of the songwriting and the talent to pull out melodies and all of this stuff, and then Balmore almost sets you free. It's like, you need to be out here.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just take a moment. Balmore was the first ever County Joan performer, so shout out to Balmore. Thank you. You helped start this. So I want to go back, right? Even what year were you born?
97.
I feel old. Oh, all right. You're not 30 yet. Sheesh.
Not yet, man.
All right. I want to go back the early years, the beginning. I'm a little bit biased towards you because you're a true County Joan. I feel like this man has a backyard.
I do.
Yeah. Went to Bonner.
Yes, sir.
It's from a place called Yaden.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about kind of that early upbringing, the county, your early musical influences.
Man, that's crazy because being from the county only mattered when I went to high school.
Yeah.
No one cared that I was from the county. There's one artist by the name of CJ. I'm not sure if you've heard of CJ. CJ got a song that I heard when he was probably in college called "I'm from the County."
Yeah.
It was yeah. So that was like a thing. But growing up, I went to a grade school called St. Cyril of Alexandria. It didn't matter where I was from because you had kids from Swarthmore, Broomall, Philadelphia, some kids from like Delaware, military kids coming in one year, leaving the next. My county influences only recently started. There was no music in the county, bro.
Yeah.
There was none.
Yeah.
So,
or it was in the county, but we said it was Philly.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And to a degree, same.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's backwards, but my county influences are as recent as the Inglorious.
Okay. Tough. Also on the County John phenomenal group.
Oh
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So, in terms of my musical upbringing, I am from Yaden, but I've always gone to church in Philadelphia.
Okay.
There's where it starts to get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At this particular church that I go to, my home church, it's 935 South 53rd Street. Okay. It's a church called New Testament Church of God, Poiser Way.
Okay.
If you're in the music world, that P name, that Poiser name, may or may not click for you.
It does. It's James Poiser.
Yeah. Shout out to the aunt. Yeah. Cool guy, man. So,
you dropped that so smooth. Shout out to the aunt.
Yeah, he's
I'm
cool
a part
dude.
of musical royalty.
You know what? He has been. Now, when I say he's my uncle, he is like he's aunt. Like we're not related at all.
Oh, okay.
Right, we're not related at all. But his brother is my godfather, who is now the pastor of my church. So growing up in that particular space, being from the family that I'm from, when I say from the family that I'm from, everybody in my family is some sort of music, some sort of musical person.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay. So you came across this honest.
Yeah. There's no exception.
Okay.
There's no exception. So being at that church, once you start expressing interest in music, and even if you're just in a choir, you do not have the luxury of not knowing something about music.
Yeah.
You just don't. Especially not with my godfather and my uncle there. They are some of the most talented musicians I've ever known.
Yeah.
And I've met planet shakers at this point, thank God.
Yeah.
But they are quite literally like a two-headed dragon of a musical beast.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, we still church. So, yeah. So, definite influence for sure. Still.
So, church and family. You are in a church with. I mean, you talk about James Poiser's resume. I mean, it's too much to really jump into, but what most people would know is the Roots and the Soulquarians, which, if that's the only thing you did,
you've done enough.
You've done more than enough. We can just sit back.
Yeah, and rest in your old man chair.
Yeah. And then you said your whole family's musical as well.
The whole thing.
When did you know you were musical?
When you're a kid, most kids can sing.
I couldn't.
I'll say most because the kids that I was around, they could hold a tune. As you age and as you're a child, there comes a point where people start hitting their ceiling, and you're not gonna be able to sing when you turn 15. You're not gonna be able to sing when you turn 20. And my ceiling never came. I started
talk. My ceiling never came.
Come on, that's prophetic.
Say it again. My
ceiling never came.
There we go.
I will have no ceiling. But I was in a Catholic grade school, and we had these talent shows or whatever, and I was shy, so I wasn't trying to step out nothing. But they did this thing conveniently, thank God. When I got there, the talent shows used to be individual. Kids would get up and do stuff, and they transitioned into class. Class talent shows or whatever. So the class would get up and do something. I was like, great, I get to hide behind people. So we would have to go around the room and sing whatever song we were singing to make sure that we knew it. And then I'd hear so-and-so sing, and I'd be like, kind of weak. I'd hear so-and-so sing, like, that was better. And then I'm counting the number of kids, and I'm like, all right, there's 7 kids before I get to me. How many different like runs can I do by the time I get to the song?
Yeah.
Just thinking about like what would Smokey Norfolk do? What would Yolanda Adams do? I get to me and I start singing, and she's like, Danny can sing. Danny can sing. Like, yeah, Danny can sing. That's kind of when I knew that it wasn't just flexible vocal cords.
Yeah. How old were you at that?
6.
A 6-year-old said, "What would Smokey Norfolk do?"
Yeah.
Said, "What would Yolanda Adams do?"
Yeah. We weren't allowed to listen to anything other than gospel music.
Even that, like that,
Yeah.
obviously. But you're 6, thinking, "What would Smokey do?"
Yeah, man.
Hey, so you were different early.
Different for that context. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
In that particular setting, that Catholic school, wheat bread setting, yes, I was different.
No, I'm not gonna give that to you. I have a niece. My niece is one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
I don't think my niece would ever ask, like, what would Brandy do? I don't think like it would just never occur to her. That was special.
Yeah.
We're just gonna let you sit in the discomfort of somebody just giving you high compliments.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Trust me, I really do, man. We and I keep going back to the family, man, because my family is literally one of the strangest collections of people I've ever known. But their ways created 2 of the dopest artists I've ever gotten. And come on, bro. You're trying to make me cry here. Thank you.
Man, listen.
Yeah, man. But
Gio just cringed. He's like, "Are y'all dapping up by a microphone?"
God bless you. God bless you, Gio.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, that's what it was. 6 years old in the grade school. Shout out to Miss Gina Fisher, whose last name has probably changed by now. But yeah.
Okay. So 6-year-old grade school. When did you start singing in church, worshiping in church? When did the church grab you?
Those are 2 different questions in one. Singing in church and worshiping in church. Singing in church, I probably started singing in church very young. Okay. As early as like 4 or whenever I could like speak English. They kind of just toss you on children's choir.
Yeah.
Solo started coming around my teenage years, like after my father had passed. Then the worship leader part just started kicking in like a couple years ago. Okay. Yeah.
No, I see the kind of apprehension as you say that, but I think it's such a real thing to be like, they're singing and then there's a moment where I experience God.
Oh, for sure.
And that changed how I approach this thing. So, and I this is off topic, but I'm going to speak it because the people are listening. I think there's something beautiful about experiencing it later, because then you don't just get used to it.
Yeah, it's not just a thing you do.
Yeah.
You know?
It's one thing to grow up in the church and be like, I do this, and it's another thing to come face to face and be like, oh no, like this is my sacrifice, this is my offering. So
literally,
when did you know, or actually do you know, that you were special?
If we're being fully honest with ourselves, when I'm saying ourselves, I mean me, myself, and I, the 3 of us. Yeah. And then you, and then of course. I'm still wrestling with the fact that I may be special, and I think part of that comes with being around the individuals who I've been around, right? You think about people like my Uncle Steven, who is Uncle James' brother, Uncle James. I went to church very early. There's an artist by the name of Othniel Chambers Sr.
Phenomenal.
Brother.
I saw this man in his living room with a guitar.
Dog, I
was sitting on the couch like, yeah.
I used to follow them. It was like religion, bro. I used to follow him, our friend Freddie, Alex, D-Rock, Rashard. God bless y'all, bro. I used to follow them around, just trying to get a piece of the music. James Rose, Josh Rose, like these are the they were youth in my church, playing instruments, writing their own youth, writing their own songs to sing on Youth Sunday. Growing up in such a hotbed like that. And then like looking inward, taking those introspective like moments of reflection, be like, okay, like, am I special? I could walk out of this church, turn a couple corners, and be like, no, I'm special here. I'm special here, because I know that if I give you a piano, if I give you a microphone, y'all might just do karaoke. Y'all not gonna know what to do with the thing. But I step in a circle like that, and we got a Balmore that hasn't hit Super Saiyan yet. Like,
yeah.
Am I special here? Like, I know the answer is yes. I'm wrestling with that even now. Like, bro,
You got me in my therapist bag. I'm gonna be in my
hey,
therapist
bro,
bag.
listen,
All right.
I'm here for it.
This ain't curator Josh. This is therapist Josh. Because sometimes we have like just automatic negative thoughts, right?
Oh, for sure.
That aren't based in reality, and we
Yeah.
have to reality test these things.
Absolutely.
So I've gotten a chance, not everybody, but I've gotten a chance to see how some of these people interact with you.
Yeah.
Would Balmore say you're special?
Oh yeah. He tells me often.
He's the father of Dan Goode.
Yeah.
Would Othniel say you're special?
Yeah, bro.
Would your uncle say you're special?
I believe so.
Would the other uncle say you're special?
I believe so.
So there's a level sometimes where I think greatness breeds greatness. So yes, all of those people, and we talked about resumes, we talked about being on the couch, being blown away by somebody. So I'm not going to take away from any of those people, but I think if all of those people are saying you're special, we just have to start holding that as true.
Right.
And when I say we, I really mean you, because I know that to be true.
The son of many.
All right, son of many. I'm not a therapist anymore. I'm back to being a curator. All right. So then let's talk about your growth as an artist, right?
For sure, man. For sure.
I think I met you 2 years ago. We're going to talk about our first meeting in a minute. But how old were you when you were given the moniker Dan Goode?
This might have been 2017. Maybe 2017, 2018.
So you were about 20. 2017, 20. You said about 97. I can't do math.
Me neither, bro. Me neither.
However the old you were there, we're not going to hold that we can't do math. I have 2 degrees too. That's bad. All right.
I couldn't drive yet.
Yeah. What's the biggest difference between the person who is given the moniker Dan Goode and the Dan Goode I'm sitting across from now?
I think the person who was given the moniker was given something to achieve and to aspire for. Whether or not I was good or not, I think that's out of the question. I don't even think that's something to consider. But I think that's one of those things where someone was just like, yo, I'm listening to what you're doing, and I can already see where you can go. Here's his name. Go do what I know you can do, bro. Like, stop playing games. I think that's the difference, quite literally. Like, that was a charge, I believe. I took it as a charge. Right now, currently, Dan Goode is like, I see it as a vehicle now. Granted, like Daniel and Dan Goode, they're the same person. But Dan Goode to me now is like, you know what? Here's this vehicle I can use when I have something to say that isn't about God. That has nothing to do with the Holy Spirit. That don't got to do with them busting out in tongues and all that fun stuff. If I want to talk about a relationship, I could just be Dan Goode. That lets people know, like, yo, if you looking for something else content wise, I can direct you on where to. We have stuff for that. But if you want to hear about like love, loss, heartbreak, some very obvious struggles with confidence over the years, come listen to this music. This is Dan Goode. This is Dan Goode. It ain't all good, but it's good over here. You know what I'm saying?
The music is good.
The music,
the content
is vibes.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like, man, we get into church stuff. That's because that's who we are here. It seems like we need more Dan Goodes in the church. I love Jesus and I'm heartbroken. I love Jesus and I know I'm supposed to because I'm made in the image of God, I'm supposed to feel a certain way, but I don't.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, I love Jesus, but she fine.
She
right, and
she look good.
I have to consecrate myself,
bro.
Sheesh. So those are. It's interesting that they're separate because I think the church would function so much better if we were able to be honest about those things, and then we wouldn't hide so much stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds like Dan Goode went from a charge to an artist, and now you almost have control over Dan Goode.
Oh my gosh. And it's such a yes, that is the case. It's such a beautiful thing to me because I really just got saved in like, mind you, church my whole life. I really just got saved, bro, in like 2020.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've been an artist since 2017.
Yeah, and you've probably been an artist longer than that.
Yo, and it's such a crazy thing, and I think about what you say, like the church needs more Dan Goode because we as artists, we oftentimes hover a lot in terms of like just our life walk, and we never really land in a place where we can go grow.
Yeah.
So we use our artistry to do our personal life growth, and it can be effective. But for most people, there's more to them than their artistry.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, this Dan Goodism kind of showed me like, yo, bro, I had to ask myself a question, bro. If God took your voice tomorrow, like, are you still Dan Good? Are you still Dan?
Yeah.
If you,
How did
if
you answer that?
I said, hell yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I said, and it's not because Dan Good, yeah, he's an artist, but Dan Good isn't an artist because you were an artist and somebody gave you the name. Dan Good is Dan Good because that's quite literally like my person, music or not.
Yeah.
Right? I could dip into like actual like easel paint artistry and still be Dan Good.
Yeah.
I could spill paint all over it. I'm not going to.
Don't.
Spill
We don't
paint,
have insurance.
right? Spill paint all over this couch, cut it in half, sell it, make money, still be Dan Good. Like, and I think part of the reason that's so important for people like me, for people like you, for people like Balmore, for people like Sonovia, for people like Othniel, for people like the Inglorious, is because we are more than our art or who we are when we make it.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sure that you don't reduce yourself to this product. And now when you can't indulge in a product, you're
Lost.
Literally, there's no identity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's been such a thing for me. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, let's make music about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My heart is broken. I don't have anything to give to this music. I want to write a sad song or a love song. I don't got no love to sing about. Let me just relax and then get back when I get back. That's literally been so instrumental to this whole thing, bro.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
It sounds like Dan Goode is a part of your identity. It's the part of you that not just is artistic, but feels, is able to create. And I keep going back to the church. I don't know why I'm on the church right now. But again, I think if we forever separate those things and we don't allow them to meet who I am in church, who I am when I'm not in church, then there's a big part of us that we don't allow God to use.
That's facts.
So I think there's a lot of really dope artists that people are like, yo, you should be a gospel artist. And it's like, but if you let them be an artist, God can use that.
Oh, facts.
Yeah. So before we tell them what they should be, let them be, and then let God use that. So
facts.
Where that goes, anyway. I'm not preaching, y'all.
It's about to be a podcast.
Yeah. All right. We halfway through this joint, and I haven't even gotten to the project. But before we can get to the project, let's talk about our first meeting. You reminded me of our first meeting. Yeah, I had a whole different direction for this, and then you reminded me. So I'm going to talk to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
We are planning the first county, John. I am out with my team. I'm out with Wayne. I'm out with Deja. The Inglorious are performing. This gentleman walks up. Daniel is a really good person. I see him. He doesn't know me. I don't know him, but I decide to introduce myself. I say, yo, Dan, what's up? Because Dan is a good guy, he daps me up and walks past me. I was like, I don't think he knows me. Dan then comes back, walks past me, and sees Deja. And it's like, oh, you're Deja. You're hosting my brother's show. Felt this big, y'all. This big. This is my first interaction with this man right here. You know what I love about that, though? I may have told you this. That pushed me as an artist. Up until that point, the County Joan was this idea where I was like, okay, I know I'm kind of an artist, but I'm just going to highlight everybody else.
Right.
And then when that happened, I was like, it's Balmore's show? I was like, Balmore's going after me.
This man is going down.
I did 30 minutes of poetry. 30 minutes. I was like, this man is going to have to go after. So, and he went after me phenomenally. Balmore is an amazing artist. So it's not like, oh, he can't go after me. But I went into that show with Dan is going to know who I am after this. And then I found out who Dan was.
Yeah.
So another story time. I'm talking a lot in this moment, but it's story time. I'm getting old. We're at the show. Deja and Brian perform phenomenal. I perform phenomenal. Balmore's performing phenomenal. And then Balmore kicks a solo to Dan. And the women in the third row melted. They said, ah! I was like, we love Jesus in here. Don't do that. And I remember in that moment, like, yo, like I knew that you were good. I knew that you were the secret sauce. I knew you as a producer because I had heard about you producing Unplugged. I had heard about you producing for the Inglorious. Like I knew that, like, yo, this dude is nice behind the scenes. I was like, this dude is nice in front of the scenes. And then to this day, Dan has my favorite moment in County Join history. The show is over. Dan is still sitting at the drum pad and then starts playing Melodies from Heaven. And then Synovia gets on the mic and she sings Melodies from Heaven. Best moment in County Join history. It's the first one. Still so much of my favorite moment. Do you remember our conversation after that show? Yes, Dan has a history of hurting my feelings, and you're seeing it live on camera.
So quite literally the blaring memory from that was the fact that everyone realized that I came from church and I wouldn't stop playing.
Yeah.
But yes, we had a conversation about me being featured in the County Join.
Yeah.
But of course the great issue at the time was I didn't have music out, or the one song that I did have out wasn't a real song. Let me put it like that. So that was kind of the air of the thing. Like, yo, we could do this thing, but there's no.
Yeah, I want to really be able to push you. Dan told me, he was like, it's not sonically right, the mixing and I was like, I don't care about that.
I'm sure. The analogy that I use was for those of you with children or who take care of kids, right? It was essentially to me like letting your kids go to school with their clothes uncrushed, shoes untied. They got the Johnny Mata and the eye crust,
whatever
boogie.
You said first,
right? Yeah, the eye boogers in the eyes, and you got like little sleep drool. Like my equivalent to that was like releasing what I had at the time, because at the time what you all now hear as Goldie was not what I had. Served up at all. Yeah, so I was a little hesitant on my part.
So we patiently waited 2 years, and now here we are. Goldie has dropped.
Yes, sir.
Let's first start off with the title. What is Goldie?
Goldie, my one and my only. Goldie was my 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Okay.
Latitude.
Oh, you gotta get specific.
Yeah. You got, bruh. So Goldie was, for all intents and purposes, my symbol of becoming a man. I had a lot of good times in that Jeep. I had a lot of bad times in that Jeep. I had a lot of life-altering moments. Not gonna say life-changing, life-altering really flipped me on my head. And then the Jeep broke down on me time after time after time, and I had to get rid of that joint. Goldie is a diss track on one of the best things and worst things that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
This Jeep.
Was that your first car?
My first car.
Yo, that's really how first cars are. Like, my first car was an 89 Camry station wagon. It was older than me.
Yeah.
89 airbags were optional. But this isn't about me. You said in Goldie you had life-altering moments.
Yeah.
What made you decide to name your debut EP after this car?
My grandfather, who was next to my father, he's one of the greatest men I've ever known. In my life, he passed in 2019. So the end of 2018 into 2019 and 2020, those were tumultuous years for me.
Yeah.
Just emotionally speaking, so many things went wrong, and even the things I thought went right were literally wrong. They were crumbling all around me. So among other things, the name Goldie for the album is it's a timepiece, pretty much showing where I was in life. Like it speaks to the 2018, the 2019, the 2020. It speaks to every failure, every flaw, every piece of character development that was going on in that time. All of the songs were either written in that time or written about that time. I'm so sure you 20-something years old, early 20s. You're real sure of yourself at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever get rid of my Goldie, bro.
Yeah.
But that whole thing taught me so much about where I was and where I could possibly be. And just make a couple adjustments, man. That's really it. Just make sure you can adjust. That's what that whole thing taught me.
Yeah. So it sounds like Goldie both represented manhood, freedom, development, but also there's a humility to it. I thought I knew.
When
you get that first car, you think,
you're so sure of yourself,
I'm out here.
Yeah.
And it's funny how that transitions to our art as well. Like we do something and we're like, yo, this is it. And it's this constant development.
Yeah.
Let's get into this album. First, I want to talk about production. Did you produce the whole album?
I produced. So if we're being real with ourselves here, there are songs that I produced in their totality. There are songs in there that are more like a puzzle.
Okay.
Where I might hear like a sound from like my church. There's I don't even know what song that is. There's a song in there that literally has the lock from the gate of my church. And I'm just
yeah.
But then there are other moments on there where I might have heard like a very interesting loop from like a YouTube commercial.
Yeah.
Just gonna record. Do the thing,
Yeah.
or try to replay it.
Yeah.
Or pitch down, pitch up if I got pitch up or pitch down or whatever. Some like what do they call it when you can just use whatever? There's no penalty.
I don't remember.
Public domain.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some public domain stuff, some hymns and stuff like that. And then like sometimes you find a good beat pack that you just really appreciate. Has everything that you need. You hit up whoever you got to hit up. Yo, can I use this?
Okay.
Hope it's a yes.
Yeah.
and then if it's not, you kind of have to alter some things, change some things, adjust and adapt.
You got to Goldie it.
Got to Goldie it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I asked you, did you produce this whole thing? You're like, let's be real. I was like playing with the lock at my church and put it on. Yes, you produced it. Like, what? That was the most artist thing I've ever heard anybody say. Like, I'm going to be really real with myself. There was this wind chime off in the distance.
Yo, yes.
And I recorded it on my phone and put it in there. And yeah, if you call that producing, then yes, I produced it. It's funny, man. I was listening to it earlier today as I was just preparing for this, and I think I hear your influences. I literally wrote here, I was like, the vibe is like Dylan and the Soulquarians were 20 years younger. So if they were 20 years later, that's how I felt listening to this. I saw you nod with such pleasure. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Man, oh my Lord. The Soulquarians, for those of you who don't know, it's a collection of artists around the time billed as neo soul, which either you like that term or you don't. You had Dilla, you had Bilal, you had Mos Def Quale, you had Q-Tip, Questlove, the Q-Tip, Questlove, James Poyser, Erykah Badu, Common, Pino Palladino, Roy Hargrove. Soulquarians. So around the time in high school, I remember listening to Brown Sugar by D'Angelo, and then that whole album. When I said, "Man, this is great. This is really vibesy." I'm like riding the bus to Delaware County, community college, and listening to this stuff. And then I go on Apple Music, and I see like, okay, this Brown Sugar. This is also Voodoo, and Church Kid. Hello, you see Voodoo. You see Voodoo. You staying away from the Voodoo. And I remember like I started seeing credits, and I saw my uncle's name on there. So I'm like, all right. I'm afraid to listen to this, not because of the Voodoo, but because I don't want to sully the reputation of D'Angelo in my mind. Like I'm about to listen to Voodoo, it's gonna be trash, bro. Because there's so many artists who make such a good effort at their albums. You love this album, then you listen to the next joint. It's like, all right, well, it was lightning in a bottle. Like it might have been a fluke. But listening to Voodoo, I was just like, yo, this is, oh my gosh. And I felt the same way about Baduism and Mama's Gun. Seeing my uncle's name on there, listening to Badu, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, there's production. There's more production on Baduism and Brown Sugar. Voodoo and Mama's Gun now, we got a different story. Like, I'm like, yo, these are instruments, like, and they're making them sound like production. This is crazy. Those influences, like, they stuck so deeply into me. And I'm one of those guys who, like, I'm a time period buff, like, junkie. I had like a New Edition phase where like I did have a Gumby and I did have this and I was out here doing the.
What year did you have a Gumby?
Bro, when a little bit before the New Edition story came out, bro, I had a literal Gumby.
All right. Well past when anybody was having a Gumby. All right, I was just wondering. We'll just keep it moving there.
Yeah, but so because I'm a time period guy, like I literally like I sat myself down in my room and I listened to everything that was going on. Like anything the Roots made, boom. Anything that Erykah Badu was doing, boom. Anything D'Angelo was doing, boom. Common, yes.
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest, cool. Any of the like, at the risk of sounding disrespectful, side mission stuff that my uncle was doing, like if he was doing work for so and so, like what did that all sound like in that time? And I would just like not eat. This is gonna sound crazy. When I wanted to remember things, I would stop eating and eat what I was listening.
Okay.
I would literally not ingest, but take in.
So just music.
Literally just ingest the music.
Yeah.
And it would stay and it would hold until I could get back home and do some stuff.
Yeah.
And those influences, they really sat, and they still do. Like I might not listen to the neo soul stuff as much these days, just because like we're kind of saturated all the time. But they're still there. Like even now, I find myself like, like
I was gonna start singing, but I can't.
It's infectious.
Yeah.
It's infectious, right? So you find yourself kind of, it incubates inside of you. Just goes, it churns and it churns and it churns. And those neo soul days and years for me, like set the stage. That's where all my drums come from.
Yeah.
Dilla, like James Poyser, Questlove, Frank Knuckles, like all of those. They still there.
Yeah.
They're still there.
So how did you synthesize all of this stuff that you were taking into your own unique sound?
Had a conversation with my uncle. He wanted me to make original songs because I was just sending him covers.
Yeah.
And he would listen to my production. He was like, "Yo, stop taking all my stuff." Like, stop taking all my stuff. And I was like, "All right, I can dig it." Yeah. So a lot of my production, what you hear now, is literally a collection of what I've heard over the years into the memory bank, cached away. Open mics. So many open mics. So many jam sessions.
Yeah.
I would go to jam sessions with my little baby iPhone 10 and just press record and just let them play their little hearts out. And then I'd go home, plug it into GarageBand, not Logic. Yeah, plug it into GarageBand.
The budget.
Bruh, free. Talk about free 99. Plug it in there, clip it, turn the gain all the way up, turn the treble all the way up, turn the bass down, and use those as like sound packs, like starter packs. Yeah. There's still like, I still have music on SoundCloud from when I was just Daniel Hall Walker with a high top.
Yeah.
It's still
the Gumby, but
it's still there. Yeah, it's still there. That's what you're hearing right now, quite literally. Like anything that I heard from like 2018 to like 2021, man, it's never left me, and it's still there. And because it's so good and it has so much substance, you can constantly pull and pluck from that stuff and always get something new. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's funny. That sounds, it tracks, because one of the things I always say when I watch you perform in whatever capacity it is, it always looks like you're playing. County Joint 3, the first one at Ardmore Music Hall, Geo has what I call Dan Cam, which is a GoPro that you just set up, pointed right at the drums. And it's one of my favorite, because you always just look excited to go. And so then as I'm listening to how you approach production, it sounds like play. It's like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? Which is this beautiful thing. In what way, or how does that contrast to the way that you approach the songwriting portion of it, both melody and lyrics?
Yeah, my sister will tell you, man, I love playing way more than I love singing and songwriting. Yeah. So there's a genuine happiness that comes along with playing and production. Yeah. Songwriting and melody choices, not so much. So what you hear there is it's not joy, it's not fun. A lot of times it's drudgery and having to work through something that's difficult. Yeah, that's the main difference in workflow. Yeah, it's mainly beat before the lyrics. Yeah, but sometimes it's, I got a deadline, let me write some stuff. Yeah. And then find a beat that goes with it, or just craft something around it. Playing is like, okay, this is when I get to release. Like this is when I get to like go off, let off all of my angst of the day. Yeah. So and so, like, really made me upset. Let me just use this Tom and let that represent so and so's neck. You know what I'm saying? Therapy.
Okay.
Therapy. Yeah. And songwriting more so it's kind of like, all right, now we are at the gym. This is not therapy. You do this because you want to have a stronger heart.
It's discipline.
Discipline.
It's discipline. Yeah. I want to get a little bit into lyrics, and then I want to transition into our rapid fire. But the first thing I want to challenge the people. Wherever you listen to music, look up Dan Goode, pull up Goldie, and digest this project. Listen to the production, listen to the lyrics, get it in your spirit, because on September 27th at the County Joint, when Dan Goode is on stage, I want y'all singing with him. I want y'all to know the songs. Can y'all do that to me? That's a resounding yes. Let the church say amen. Amen. All right. The introvert in me resonated with a lyric in Leading Me On.
Yeah.
It says, I don't want to talk all the time. I don't want to meet all your friends. So don't make me meet all your friends.
Yeah.
I feel seen. But also, that song a little toxic, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
As much as you're comfortable, talk me through that song.
For sure. So that song was literally written. It wasn't one of them Jones like, oh, let me put myself back in 20 whatever year. How was I feeling? No, I wrote that song.
Oh, you was in it.
Very intentionally.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was seeing a young lady who wanted, I think she just wanted more of me than I wanted to give the world. At that time, I'm quite literally like, I'm still young. Like, I'm not trying to deal with all of this. Like, come on, man. Like, and it's not even like a commitment thing. It's just like, no, I do not have any intentions of meeting your friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet your friends. I have my own friends.
That sounds like a commitment thing, but it's okay.
Hey, but you know what's crazy? It was one of those things like, come on, sis. Like,
sounds like y'all were on different pages. You had a specific image of what it was, and she wanted, I want to lock you in.
I wanted to be immature.
Yeah.
And I was very ready to keep doing that.
Yeah.
I was okay with being in my solitude. Like, I was cool with that. But the areas and spaces that I should have been occupying, it felt like I was being pulled into those things. And I was very okay not being pulled into those very necessary spaces. I was like, nah, bro, I ain't trying to do that.
Okay. One of the things I appreciate about the Hall Walker brothers, which is both Dan and Balmore, is they have some toxic songs that make me realize I need to grow up some. Because I be listening, I be like, I like this, and I be like, I shouldn't like this that much. Let me go talk to my therapist about this. But also, I think it's funny because it shows growth, right?
Oh, for sure.
So that was Dan in 2017, 2018. And then I'm listening to Reload, and it sounds like that's almost happening to you.
You know what's crazy? So the resounding moral of the story is I'm always the bad guy and I'm always the one doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That's I am David. Right? So the thing with Reload isn't even about, Reload is about me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell me more.
It's not Dan singing about some woman. It's some woman singing about Dan.
Also, you wrote it from the perspective.
Yes.
So it was more toxicity.
More toxicity.
I thought it was growth.
Nah, Brody. No, ain't no growth over here. So if I can be honest, my loving, amazing, superwoman of a girlfriend, who happens to be outside. I can't wait to see her. Okay. I wrote that from her perspective at a point in time where I was still in that immature space. And I thought to myself, like, talk about toxic. What song can I write that sis will hear to show her that I grew?
Ooh. Yeah, so it wasn't even like, oh, I'm growing. It was like, I want to show you that I'm growing.
Nah, like, how can I, because I'm going to tell her, like, oh, you know, I'm different. But, like, we all different.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
How can she believe that?
Okay.
And I of course I can appreciate it now because that song means so much to me because I wouldn't be releasing these songs if I thought that they were wrong or they were incorrect. Yeah. So I can look at myself in the mirror and be like, all right, Daniel, it's heightened my ability to point out where I went wrong right? And just own it.
Yeah.
Just own it, guys. Come
Own
on.
it. We're human. We grow, and I think accountability is important.
It is very. It's. I put up a post on Facebook like a little while ago. It's just like all these things that you do to try to get yourself out of these like little situations. You just have to apologize, take accountability, and just do better. It does whatever you think ghosting does. Like ignoring people. It does all of those things. It's very freeing. Very.
That's a
liberating.
different podcast that we may shoot at a different time.
Hey, brother. But yeah, Reload and Leading Me On are quite literally. One is from me.
Yeah.
One is to me.
So you were talking from your perspective, and then you were talking to yourself.
Oh, for sure.
That's super dope. All right. We're transitioning into rapid fire. So listen, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
You need to answer. I want you to answer with as little thought as possible. If you hesitate, I will make fun of you in front of everybody. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Biggest inspiration?
Balmore.
Balmore, big answer. If you could share the stage with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
That's a two-parter. Molly Music.
Okay.
And my father.
That's a beautiful answer. Yeah. Favorite cover to perform?
Don't got one.
Okay, you don't have one.
No.
All right. I'm going to make you choose between your children. Your favorite song of yours to perform.
Oh, you know what's great? I thought you meant my actual children.
Oh, do you
I
have
said
do you
they
have
ain't
children?
here yet.
I was like, are there secret children out here?
No, I got scared, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you said
Your favorite song of yours to perform.
I don't think I wrote it yet.
You don't think you wrote it yet? Okay, of the ones that you've written, your favorite song to perform.
Oh my gosh. Goldie.
Goldie?
Yeah.
All right. You can only choose one. Either you are a percussionist or you're a vocalist.
Percussionist.
Oh, quick.
Percussionist.
I know.
Percussionist.
He's like, do you not remember the story of them forcing me out here?
Brother, listen, put me behind this. Look at the calluses, bro. Come on. Percussionist.
All right.
Percussionist.
This is the last question. I need you to use your imagination for this.
Yeah.
It's September 27th. Ardmore Music Hall is full. People are cheering. You just finished your last song.
Sweat dripping.
Sweat dripping.
Yeah.
What's the one word that you want the people to say?
Golly.
The people, you heard it from Dan Goode himself. So come out September 27th at Ardmore Music Hall. We got Dan Goode, we got Vincina, and you're going to be there. Make sure you pull up for this amazing artist. Dan, thank you for joining us. The people, thank you for watching. We'll see you there.